the link in.
Well, yeah, do that. Thank you, Holly, and Niels and team. Thanks for having me today. Yeah, we launched our campaign called New Dimensions, the campaign for UT Dallas yesterday. And if you didn't get a chance to catch it, it was a virtual broadcasting of a live to tape event. So you may access it on demand, and Holly will put the link in the chat. But please do check it out. I think you'll find it a great representation of what UT Dallas is all about, and how you all help perpetuate our mission, and how important philanthropy is to what we do. And so this is just the beginning of our campaign, and the video explains it all. But I'm so glad to see this town hall and the participation. I think Ackerman Center and the School of Arts and Humanities, and all of the centers in the School of Arts and Humanities really leads the way in a lot of respects to volunteer leadership at UT Dallas. So glad to be here, and thanks again for all of your support.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle. I'd like to get us going.
And I've got Mary and Bob on the call now. So we're ready.
All right, so then I think we're ready to go. Thank you all for joining us here today. Like I said, we like to think about ourselves as leading the way in many, many ways, but also obviously today, as far as launching our part of the new dimension, but also overlapping it in many ways. Let's pay attention to everything that's going on today. But if you just on the sideline make donations on Comet Giving Day, then you're excused for your short absence. But otherwise, just stay with us. So we have a couple of really exciting announcements to make today as we're our campaign. I think I want to just lead you a little bit through reminding yourself again all the things that are noteworthy and great to celebrate about humanities. So if let me just remember, if you can move, or Cindy, if Cindy can move the PowerPoint along. I like to see myself, but I see myself twice now. So there we are. Just as a way of reminding everyone, the School of the Arts and Humanities has, first and foremost, obviously its distinguished faculty across three major areas: visual performing arts, history, philosophy, and then literature. And then in addition, we have our various centers, and we've listed them all out here in alphabetical order, from the Ackerman Center all the way down to the Edith O'Donnell. These centers are, important clusters in the ways in which they foster research, but also the way they interact with the wide. And you can see also on the right side our very rich and very vibrant program as far as our performance and program and studies go. And I want to emphasize again that all of this classical music, jazz, vocal, all of this continue to thrive and exist in this last challenging year. And that's, I think, thanks again to Associate Dean of the Arts, Michelle Henlin, who is on this call. And we want to clap one more time because she had to do a lot of heavy lifting, as well as to our dedicated faculty who continue throughout this year really to do everything that they could in order to still provide all these critical parts of our education, so that in many ways we went through this year, but not in a kind of slimmed and trimmed down version, but really with everything. The school has always, Christy, here we have just a few more of our highlights. I've already mentioned the excellent faculty, and distinguished as they are. Thrilled also that we were able this year to add tenure lines, new faculty members again to already our existing community of scholars, one to the visual performing arts, one to philosophy, and one to creative, three of our growing and very vibrant areas. Spin Gallery, which continued to exist, though largely in its virtual state throughout this last year. The very things that we really pride ourselves and very much forward to using it again and being there in the coming year. And also feeling really excited about it as we look forward to the moment when the northern part of the campus will be connected by DART. And therefore, all of a sudden, our Spin Gallery will also become even more easily accessible. I don't want to go through all of the highlights, but you see obviously a good number of them listed here. I can talk about each one of them for a while. But these are the things that distinguish in many ways the School of the Humanities and have made the school such an attraction also to our students who continue to really enjoy the small class sizes, liberal arts feeling of a smaller college, the intimacy that comes along with it, as well as the very personalized attention. Something again that they constantly commented on throughout this last faculty, staff, bend over backwards really to accommodate each one of them as best as we could. All right, Christy. So we have a few more highlights. Obviously, we've been busy also developing new critical. You can see this here in our undergraduate degrees. We have also concentrations, growing ones in creative writing, Spanish, rhetoric, and communications, and then again, concentrations in various other areas, degree program, as well as in our masters and PhD. This is really important for us that we constantly reconfigure what we kind of sharpen a little bit its appeal, attract even more of the brighter students in growing numbers. So I think the last year was a very busy year for us behind the scenes, and so far as we created a good many new certificate on the graduate side, also in translation study, a center that we might mention a little bit later on without giving too much away, as well as a certificate in creating. We also overhauled our certificate in studies to certificate in Holocaust, human rights, genocide studies. So despite it being all busy chit chat and talk behind the scenes that I think will make everything going forward become even more exciting. All right, Christy. So what are our priorities? Well, the reason I'm constantly referring to Christy to move the PowerPoints, by the way, is my computer decided at the last minute to work. So I'm just on my phone. And so for that reason, this seems to be working better. All right, the UT Dallas campaign priorities, Kyle already spoke about them briefly today at the launch of the campaign, are first and foremost to attract the best and brightest students. This got to be our top priority. Transform the arts on campus. We like that, obviously. This is the university's priorities. On top of it, number 3, enhance the lives through transformative research, which is critical again for us in the School of the Arts and Humanities, that we truly believe that what we do in terms of our research, whether it's in philosophy or in dance and performance, and in all of these various aspects we have to offer, we truly believe will enable individuals and communities to enhance their respective lives. So these got to be the major priorities. Fundraising for our students remains on the top of the list. In particular, higher education has not gotten any cheaper, but also we continue to be in a situation where even amongst our own students, we have a high percentage. All in all, I believe 67% of our undergraduate students applied for financial aid last year. So that's a big percentage, 67%. And even those who have received support still at the end found that most often the total of grants and gifts received did not total the overall financial needs that they experienced. So the average per student still experienced a discrepancy of about 7,000 in terms of their overall expenses and needs, respectively, to what they were receiving. So if we want to attract the brightest and the best, then we have to recognize that opportunity is not always equally available everywhere, and that we got to work as hard as we can in order to facilitate ways by which we also enable students really access to the university and to the school. So it's a really important priority. Also, as it again relates to enhancing the experience of students, facilitating a way by which our students can study abroad, go to conferences, visit archives, and so on and so forth. course. So money for the students got to be number one. Transform campus, big initiative for the university in general with, emerging arts and performance complex, but then also very much an important aspect of our own endeavors. All right, Christy. We have now some exciting announcements to make, and at this point I hand over to our chairs of our own campaign, Bob and Mary Potter.
Good morning, everybody. We hope you're having a fantastic day, and thank you.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. We hope you're having a fantastic day. The New Dimensions campaign was launched yesterday with an expansive vision for the future of UTD. UTD was designed to inspire people to dream and to engineer the progress envisioned in their dreams. And in that tradition, the New Dimensions campaign is all about all of us and the means by which we realize our unlimited opportunities. Diverse people from here and abroad and from all walks of life study at UTD. The School of Arts and Humanity is the engine for creating commonalities among students of disparate cultures and varying academic interests. Arts and Humanities is the place to open communication channels, create synergies and collaboration, and facilitate the unique interdisciplinary approach of UTD. Arts and Humanities is the intersection of creativity and innovation of art and science, and the place to improve lives and take the whole human experience up to the next level. The New Dimensions campaign envisions funds for all of the things that Dean Romer just said, but in our imminent post-pandemic world, the UTD community once again will meet and interact in buildings, on walkways, and yes, in parking lots. UTD is growing faster than almost any university in the country but one, and parking lots are important. A new one is in our plan. In addition to the Athenaeum Arts and Humanities, we'll renovate and update the theater, and personally, I can't wait to see what gets created there. For Arts and Humanities supporters, the New Dimension campaign is really the New Dimensions campaign of the spirit and of imagination. And with that, we will say we're thrilled to be part of this and turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Mary, for these words. I think you can all probably sense the sense of great excitement. I mean, we really, I think, have embraced this idea of this being a new dimension. And we truly feel that in many ways, the school is really at one of these moments where if we do this all well and come together over the next couple of years, we can truly transform the school in many important ways. So this is truly, truly, truly the beginning of a very exciting launch. But as you will see, this is the kind of public phase of that launch. There has been a quiet phase to this already. And that allows us really to also make a couple of really exciting announcements right away today. So that, I think, brings us to our next slide. And to our guitar program. One of the most distinguished parts, obviously, of the School of the Arts and Humanities that has for the longest time been fortunate to have a very devoted friend and supporter in Russell Cleveland, who has, already, over the years supported the guitar program, also obviously the creation of an endowed chair, but also by supporting many other of the various initiatives and programs. So here you see simply some of the highlights. More than 50 students are enrolled. We have one of the wonderful new additions to all of this, which happened to be something that we signed in the middle of the pandemic, a new exchange program with a wonderful place called Malaga in Spain. I think when I signed that document and Rick was working really hard on it, I was dreaming how nice it would be at some point again to be able to travel and to go to such places. And we have now, I think, both Enrique and Jonathan Pallant already scheduled to go in the fall and to teach and perform there. Jonathan in his capacity as the director of the choir, and then Enrique obviously as the representative of our guitar program. So our guitar program in many ways has been growing, and it's really also been growing in its international collaboration, something that had been put a little bit on hold during the pandemic, but obviously will come now back in fuller force. I want to share just the tiniest of a video with you just for a moment so that you can truly appreciate the beauty of what this program is enabling students to do better than my word. Steve? All right, that brings us to our first major announcement. A major new guitar opportunity fund created to, first of all, really serve as a hub for all kind of new incoming donations, but it's also a hub that has already generous beginning to begin with, and it's an account that will then really help to support the Guitar Festival, the yearly one, annual one, as well as and various other activities. So this is a wonderful first announcement that we can make, something that was made possible by the ongoing love and affection and support by Russland, and I want to thank him again. Shaking hands across the Atlantic and thanking you again, Russell. And we also, for the sake of the guitar program, really cannot wait for the fall to come around and finally to have programs again in person. I know that's something that's been really close to your heart, and that you have kind of quite a few times felt that Zooming was wonderful, but guitar concerts in person are an altogether different matter. And hopefully we'll soon be all able again to appreciate and enjoy this together. All right. But we are just on the start here, and when I run it away a little bit, that we have some really exciting news to share for our Center for Translations, which happens to be, I think, if I'm not mistaken, our oldest center, founded by Schulte. You here with us? I'm sure. Who has been running the center for the longest, and continues though to reimagine and recreate it, almost constantly in new ways. One of the really exciting things that he added on, not to late, is a new constant podcast that has attracted quite a bit of attention, as well as his own dedicated video channel. So the Center for Translation Studies has some videos that Rainer has put together on individual authors. One of those on an Austrian author by the name Rilke that has, I think, had over 7,000 views. So that's a huge number, and it also indicates how much there's an ongoing and a relevance to our studies of literature, of poetry, and in particular to the act of translation, something that in many ways was always promoting more than just about the translating of words into a different language, but being really an act of comprehension in the broadest of ways, something that we all enact in other ways in other parts of our lives as well. Being such a charismatic individual, he has all along built up his fan club, and amongst is also Richard, who's going to speak in a moment. But if Christy, if you don't mind, just to move us along, because Richard, in lots of ways, is a doubleheader in terms of fan club. He moved to attend the University of Texas under Rainer, but also became a fan of the guitar program. So in lots of ways, it's two fans in one here. We're particularly thankful for his support as a recent, and also for his recent addition to the ANH Council, his kind of involvement with our creation of internships, the internship committee, and the establishment of the Trish and Richard Kirchen Opportunity Fund. Richard, I'm gonna hand it over to you now, if you don't mind just saying a few words.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Rimmer. I've been very lucky, very fortunate. I'm the beneficiary of all public education, starting from Youngstown, Ohio to Ohio State to UTD. I was fortunate enough to receive scholarships, grants, and the like along the way. But more importantly, I received mentorship, I received guidance, especially from UTD and Reiner and the Center for Translation Studies, which gave me the opportunity and enabled me to have a certain level of success in my professional career. It is that which I want others to have, the same kinds of opportunity that I have. So I've made a planned gift designation for UTD and the Center for Translation Studies and the endowment which Dr. Rummer just mentioned. And what I'd like to encourage is that others consider making a planned gift as well. I took a couple of investment accounts. I named UTD and the Center for Translation Studies as the beneficiary thereof. It is a really easy thing to do with the help of Holly Miori and Anna LeBlanc. In 10 minutes, I was able to establish the Center for Translation Studies with about 3 or 4 pieces of information. I did it all online, named them the beneficiary. On a one-pager, I signed a commitment thereof back to the university. I did all this from my couch. So it's really easy. Now, in my case, I did 100% donation, but the beautiful part of it is, think about a planned gift, whether it's 100%, 50%, 25%, or a named amount. One can make a planned gift like this at any level. And I would encourage you to do the same thing so that others have the same kind of opportunity that I did as well.
Thank you, Richard. I like also, the way you described it, the ease by which these wonderful things can be accomplished. I think that's also really part of the big effort on the part of the university, that by Carl, but then more locally by us with Holly, have really worked hard to make this really, like you said, a very easy process, but also one where individuals who are thinking about this are in constant conversation with Holly or me or some other faculty members, so that one kind of can understand where also our needs are and also where respectively the passion of individuals are. But Richard just said it so well. I think education is about opportunity, and it's about opportunity for as many as possible. And therefore, to make such a kind of planned gift, I think really is very forward looking, and also will really, which I think is the beauty of all of this, be a truly investment into the future, which will then the center really enable also to exist, beyond even our own time horizons and forward, which I think is a really comforting thought to have, that what we're building here is not just for the today or the kind of immediate fall or year or so, but will continue to exist even beyond our kind of horizon in terms of what we can see at this point. So, but we are not done yet. We have one other major announcement to make. If Christy, if you don't mind, just to move us a little bit along again. Here we are at Jerry and Marilyn Comer, two names that are already familiar to everyone around us, and beyond who's interested in, and I'll say a few more things about that in a moment, but to introduce Jerry, he got his training at UTD in 1977. He himself today is a retired engineer, an award-winning photographer, and he, together with Marilyn, donated by now already about 600 photos and 500 periodicals on the subject of modern and contemporary art and photography to the Spin Gallery and to the university. So thanks to them, we have a large photo collection that has already attracted a great deal of attention. The collection is curated by a graduate student and a public lecturer each year, well-known photographer who are invited to come to campus and kind of speak to the larger community, but also to meet with our students. This collection now has grown to roughly 750 pieces, quite significant, 750 photo collection. I'm thankful for having one of those in my office. So if you want to visit me, there's another good reason. So far as you're going to be able to see one of the wonderful photos from that collection. And now I'm really excited about it. So I have it written down. We are pleased to announce a leadership gift of $5,000 to the Comer collection by Mr. and Mrs. Comer for an RA-ship and education and stability around the Comer collection and our growing photo program. This is really a transformative gift. I mean, all along these years of donating and adding steadily to our collection have been significant and events. All of this in many ways has laying the groundwork, really immensely generous, but also very transformative gift that will really put our photo collection and everything about our teaching of photography also really on the map and will make it far more visible like it should be. So I want to thank you again for this tremendous gift and for the great, vote of confidence and faith into us that we're going to honor this gift by growing our photography program according to the desires of this gift. So truly wonderful opportunity that can see immediately what this will mean and how this can spell itself out in terms of what it allows students to do, what it will bring in terms of speakers, photographers, and all the wonderful events in buildings, not any longer just in Zoom or on Teams, like Mary Potter reminded early on, but really again in person and with a close interaction, which is all about what we are in the School of the Arts and Humanities. We've done well Zooming, but to be sure, we are actually more exceptional, I think, in the flesh when we meet each other in person and can kind of interact with about the things that really matter to us. So again, a wonderful, unique opportunity to thank you here at the beginning of our launch of our new dimension. And the nature gifts are really the parts of what I described earlier as a silent period that precedes this now more public phase. Right, here we have, in other words, some more highlights that giving in many ways is really giving for the future and enabling endless opportunities for these varied futures to arise and to unfold. And therefore, you can kind of sense the excitement that comes along with this new dimension campaign from Mary early on, and obviously you can pick it up in my voice as well, that I wanted to be here today, and the technology just about enabled me to do two things that were dear to my heart at the same time, meaning being here and visiting my family, while at the same time also being with you guys. So I want to also share the last part of excitement. I mentioned it earlier. Christy, if you don't mind just moving on. And that is our new tenure line faculty that we've just hired. And I just mentioned it earlier. Maureen Akbar for creative writing, Songya Ren for philosophy, and then Laura Kim for performance studies. And each one of these individuals is really distinct, but I can tell you that, going through the hires this time virtually with them, I mean, unfortunately, all of the interviewing, everything had to be done via computers and virtual meetings. It was nonetheless tangible how excited these three individuals had these meetings of our students, of our faculty, so much so that when we came to the part of talking to them about joining us, they all respectively had competing offers. But it was very, very noticeable how excited they had become being part of our growing community, and how they also all in their different fields felt that they were joining something that was still becoming and growing, and they felt that this was also a place where they truly will make a difference. They're not coming here to inherit something that had been already all produced and been put together, but they in very various ways are coming really to add to growing marine program, which is kind of growing by big numbers as far as enrollment is concerned. We're finally kind of creating this critical mass of distinguished faculty that really allows this one to go forward. Matt Brown, our philosopher, would hopefully the same thing, that finally with another tenure higher philosophy, another critical voice to our distinguished in philosophy, but we're also adding someone from a particular perspective. It was very obvious to us that we wanted not, yet another philosopher who would add to the already existing expertise to refine maybe our offerings, but really to come into this in a different way with non-Asian, with non-Western philosophy, and thereby to really widen our geographic reach in terms of what we can cover. And then Laura Kim, but not least, is someone who was so intriguing that when I had to approach was for the final approval, I realized that Dr. Musselman had spent about an hour cruising on Laura's webpage, trying to learn everything about her, and her excitement about this hire was about as big as that of our faculty. So all three will his ways, I think, and in the ways in which they were hired, they will add to the existing program. I find also really exciting about all three of them. They will also undoubtedly contribute to what we have to offer in ways that we cannot even quite yet entirely envision, and that they in their own ways will find. So truly, we're in for a treat over the next couple of years to see these distinguished colleagues to unfold into their own careers and into their own futures here at UT Dallas, like we all have individually, and have been enjoying very much that process for ourselves. So I'm excited to see three join us and to see their respective careers unfold. All right, Matt Brown is just joining in. He's probably couldn't have been any more excited about the hire of her. But we recognized with all three that we were looking at a very competitive job market with a lot of talent, a lot of really distinguished faculty coming up. But then all three who also had their alternative choices, and therefore we felt even better this time around, sensing that we had a lot to offer that made us really an attractive choice for these very three distinguished and promising scholars and performers. All right, Christy, let's see what pictures we have left. Oh, yes, one of the other big highlights, of course, one of students who want to. He's from the Visual and Performing Arts student. There he is, Ben.
Hello, hi everyone.
Hello, hi.
I'm Ben Wise. I'm a junior coming into senior year now, Visual and Performing Arts and Public Affairs double major from Atlanta. And you may have seen me in the New Dimensions video. My hair was a different color then, but I just really wanted to reiterate how important just your giving is and how directly it helps students. As a student in the performing arts, I'm really excited to see that we have the possibility of renovating and updating our performance spaces because our programs are really growing and they kind of feel like they need this room to grow that I think this campaign is providing for them. But also that as a scholar on the other side, in the research aspect of it, in art history, seeing these donations to the Athenaeum and the acquisition of these museums is really important to me. I've gotten to be very involved with the Edith O'Donnell Institute of Art History recently, and just having a museum and this like cultural nexus on campus makes me quite happy to see everyone supporting that. So thank you all.
Thank you, Ben.
The ANH, and yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you also again for joining us. In the end, one of our strongest parts, that we feel proudest about R&D students. And so I'm grateful for Ben joined us here. There's one other last part that all of us in the School of the Arts and Humanities feel particularly passionate about, and that is the comment cupboard. Staff, faculty, students all have, as well as our friends, have either donated their time, had donated food, had donated in money donations to the comment cupboard. And any one of us who had spent any time there, had a very quick sense of understanding how critical the comment cupboard is, in particular to the students within the last years, but even beyond, because all of the pandemic has also obviously, challenged the finances respectively of many of our students who ended up more often in need than they would have possibly ever envisioned. And therefore, the responsibilities of the cupboard steadily grown over the last year in particular. And you have here a picture again with a couple of our distinguished staff members who I think are competitive almost to the point of trying to edge each other out and volunteering their time and helping out there also with the hands-on as well as with additions. So we want to close today's launch of the New Dimension with a big pledge to all of you to give, obviously to the School of the Arts and Humanities, but also please give to the comment cupboard. And also I want to thank already all of those that have. Again, the comment cupboard being really, really close to all of us and to all of you. So I want to thank you again for being with us here. I think it brings us now to our very last slide. To reminder the Living Days, and which comes with its unique opportunities. Richard spoke so eloquently about the ease by what can be done. It's also one of those where I think we call on staff, students, faculty, friends, anyone to give in whatever shape or form they want. There are lots of matches hidden into the funding today that get unlocked depending on how many donations come in from staff, how many from faculty. There are lots of matches, also attached to particular programs and to different parts of the centers. There's a scoring board, so to speak, that keeps the donations updated. So that hopefully will also be a way of getting quite a bit of excitement going. Let me just check in with Holly Miori, who might just want to say still a few things about Comet Giving Day today. There she is.
We have a little we have a presentation for Comet Cupboard, so I'm going to turn it over to Megan Herring.
Okay. Megan.
Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. This is Dr. Jessica Murphy and Hillary with the Comet Cupboard, and we would like to donate some food and personal care items for the Comet Cupboard.
Thank you so much for your donation and for all of the hours from the volunteers. We are very grateful, and our students are very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan and Dean Murphy, for that presentation. Again, one more time, Comet Cupboard is really close to all of our hearts, like I said. So make this day also kind of an opportunity to get into Comet Cupboard. All right, Holly, do you want to say something just about Comet's Giving Days?
Just seeing if we have any questions that we need to answer at the end of the town hall. Feel free to put them in the chat. And I'm happy to help help facilitate.
Why don't we stop the PowerPoint and then everyone can see each other and ask
thank you,
any
Pia,
questions.
for putting the Comet Cupboard in the chat.
Thank you, Pia. All right, I think everyone is already online donating probably. That's why
they're busy.
They're exactly.
Or watching the launch video. They're getting ready to watch that video from yesterday.
Needless to say that all of us are around here in case you have any questions. Feel always free also to reach out to Holly, Miori, or to myself.
Yep, I'm putting my email in the chat. So if anybody has any questions, they can feel free to reach out to me.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And goodbye to everyone.